seems crazy that it's 10 years since 2007 in Croke Park. I remember being there as a young fella on the terrace.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah.
It wasn't meant that way. Well, thank you for the day, Eddie. What's your standing memory now when you look back on that day?
Obviously, a day like that, you have a few memories. Like I'll break them into bits. One is my memory, the build up to the game, and obviously the pressure would be building towards, like any game. This is a special game. The difference probably Croke Park and any other game was like, if you lose a game in the Six Nations, you say you can't win a Grand Slam this year, you're thinking, oh well, maybe next year. But the problem with Croke Park is there was no next year. It was a one-off, So it was a game that there was only one outcome available to the team, was to win. And that was horrendous pressure on a group of players. I felt there was a massive pressure on them. So in the build-up, we were trying to kind of keep them out of all the narrative and the build-up to the game. Just stay in process, stay in focus, because we still had to play the game. And it was just another game of rugby at the end of the day in terms of getting the job done. But of course it wasn't. And I remember as we got closer to the game, you couldn't anymore. Like, the players were exposed to it and the media and all. So it was a tough place for the players because they knew themselves that losing wasn't an option, and that's a dreadful pressure on any team. So that was the thing I remember with the build-up. Probably, again, my abiding memory of the day of the game is actually before the game started. Was the anthems obviously were hugely emotional for everybody, and I was looking across the team, like, and fellas like Hayes and Jerry Flannery, like, crying like babies and the anthems. I remember the anthems finished and they were rolling up the red carpets, and I said, we've a game to play now, which is like, no, this is what it's all about. And my worry was that, I remember if you go back to a couple of weeks earlier, we had played France there, and in the first 20 minutes, France pulled us all off the field. We were actually, we might as well have had tickets in the Hogan stand and watched the game. We were so off the pace, and they really hurt us, and it took us 20 minutes to get into the game and find our shape, and our defence was too tight. And we got it sorted. And my big worry is, with the occasion and the emotion, I could go through that same bad 20 minutes at the start of the game and then give ourselves a mountain to climb. So my worry was that could guys kind of snap out of it and, play after that emotion. Like as I call it, it was like a tumble dryer of emotions, and they could come out of that and play. And they did, so that was the good news. Yeah.
Did you ever think about going the opposite way about it and really buy into that cultural significance, getting people in to talk to the team and highlight just how big a deal it was?
No, because there was no need to. Everyone knew. Like, there was no point in stating the obvious. Guys knew what it was going to be about. The problem early was kind of keep them out of that kind of emotional space and the build-up, because we had to prepare. We had to have a game plan. We had to have our defensive strategy, our attacking strategy, our power plays. We had to get our game plan ready, like we were playing any other team. But then knowing that there was going to be this kind of torrent of emotion wash over it, and could we deliver the game plan in that emotional kind of maelstrom? So trying to keep the emotion out of it for as long as we could, but then knowing in the run-in that, it was going to be part of it. And I think I've always huge respect for the guys that day. The thing I respect the most is they bought into the emotion of the occasion as they should. It was a one-off, but then they were able to still deliver the performance they delivered. Because remember, when you go into any test game, you have a kind of checklist of maybe 5 or 6 things, maybe 7 things, and you say, we need to do this, and this to win the game. And a lot of games you might only hit 4 or 5 of them, and you still win, because you get enough of it right. You rarely, but I thought that day that we delivered on every box was ticked. Everything we said we'd do, technically, tactically, we did it. And to do that under that sort of pressure, to me, the players deserve phenomenal credit, considering the pressure that was on them to deliver that type of performance. That's what I take most out of. I think they were phenomenal as a group of guys that day.
I mean, that's rugby, marrying that kind of emotional aspect to the tactical element. What were the key components of that game plan? Like, when you look back and it was a dominant performance, what gives you most pride about that game plan you put together?
I think technically and tactically we knew that the midfield in England were vulnerable, that we could pull them apart pretty much if we got quality ball. I think the pack were always going to deliver at scrum and line-out time, because with a world-class line-out, with a very strong pack. I mean, I think our scrum, I wasn't worried about our scrum, so I thought we'd get a platform to play. And I felt that, we offset pieces, we could drag them all over the field in the midfield, and we did that. We pulled them left and right, and we created, we made them make decisions if they wanted to push early, because we were standing out there.
Andy Farrell was at 12.
Yeah, he was at 12 that day. Yeah, we looked at him and felt he'd struggle with if we gave him different looks in attack, and he may have to make a decision whether to go early or go late. If he went early, we came under him. If he sat down, we went around him. They're kind of, you do to any player, but he was one of the guys we looked at. Yeah, wouldn't be experienced in that position. So I was confident if we got the platform that we could use a kind of strategy that would cause him trouble. And we got a lot of line breaks out wide, and we got a lot of go forward under them. And then I think, people forget it was the 30th minute before we got a try. Like, we're 3-0 down, and then we grew into the game and we were 3-all, 6-3, 9-3. And then we got to the point where we caught him out wide. I remember Simon Easterby had a barn burner, a run up the left. He was tackled, and they gave away a penalty to Ruck. And we had a big decision: do we kick for 12 now, or we put it in the corner or make a statement? And the guys felt like, yeah, we can go for it here, and we went for it. We put it in. I remember that maul, they pulled it down, and Danny Grucock came on the side, and Peter Stringer punched him right in the face, which kind of looking back at it now was, but from that he moved the ball wide and Gervin scored. So the referee didn't bother coming back to it, but I thought it was bizarre that I think Danny Grucock was more surprised than I be that Peter Stringer punched him. But that try was crucial. That was now 16, and we had the bit between our teeth. And then we needed another score to half time, and Wally came up for it like classic 5 yards out, ran over two guys and put it on the goal line. Now half time was interesting because the most important was not let England back in any major way. I think talking about half time and the change room, saying to guys that they would have a purple patch, they're a good team, they'll come into the game at some point, they'll come at us, and we need to absorb that and respond to it. We can't get sloppy with the ball now, we can't go out like with this game wrapped up. And I remember Paul O'Connell then chiming in and kind of saying, to hell with our purple patch, like we're going to take these guys and strangle them, like he wanted to go manic on it. And I was saying, well, let's go manic in a controlled way like we have been up to now. And funny enough, they got the first score of the second half. Strettle scored in the corner, and they were kind of back in it, and I was saying to myself, like, we need to respond to this now. And we kicked off and we ploughed them on the restart. I think it was Julian White gave somebody a shoe at a ruck, and we got a penalty, and Raj kicked it, and that settled us again then. And then the next try was for Shaggy's, we were working on that. We knew, we'd looked at the tape, and Wilkinson was very brave in defence. Like he was never short of come in and smash a guy in a tackle. And I remember we knew that if we had a scrum in that corner, or even a line out, if we took something round the corner, Johnny would come in and he'd light somebody up. So if you remember, that was a scrum in that corner. I think we attacked round the corner. Johnny came in, hit, the whole defence had to shovel in then, and that left Shaggy on his own with Josh Lucy.
A clear 1-on-1 that he's going to get over.
Raj had to put the kick on the money, but you back him to that, every day of the week, and he put it right on the money. So that try we practiced that try in training, knowing that if we got the right field position, and it's an iconic try because of the context of Croke Park and the high catch and everything, and no better man to do it than Shaggy, But look, it was a great way, and then I think the scoreline was pretty harsh on them actually, because the last try was they were chasing the game, and the reserve halfback, I forget who it was, went right, then came back left, and threw a loose pass, and Isaac Boss picked it off. Like, that was like icing on the cake. But in terms of the end of that game, was that, again, I say that, like, looking at the performance over the 80 minutes and what we set out to do technically and tactically, credit to the guys, like, they ticked every box. And given the pressure they were under, right, to me, that was the key, that they went out and gave that performance in those circumstances. That's what I was happiest about.
It must be unbelievably pleasing. What's the aftermath of an occasion like that, given all that incredible emotional? There must be a release and a sense of
unbelievable pride. It's relief, yeah. I think guys were very relieved that we had kind of set out to do a job and did it really, really well. And and the thing about that is, like, the English guys, I knew a lot of the English guys. I know Mike Ford was our defence coach. I knew Brian Ashton a little bit, so you have to think of them as well. They just, they had a bad day out, so you meet them and you talk to them and chat to them and you come down. But I do remember that the crowds, even 2 hours after the game, outside the stadium waiting for the bus, and the bus going into town to the Shelbourne Hotel, like, places going bananas, and there's hundreds of people outside the Shelbourne to go in. It was a pretty special day, but my abiding memory of it is being relieved that we came out the right side of it, because, as I said, for me, it was terrible pressure on a group of guys that, you know, losing wasn't an option. Like, there was never going to be another day in Croke Park like this, so there was no second chances.
Yeah, we may end up seeing a Croke Park day in 2023. It's a long way away, but would you like to see that happen again?
Oh yeah,
special like that.
fantastic. I think it should happen and it will happen. Like, I mean, I'm probably optimistic about it because we can do it. We can pull this off, and I think it'll be incredible. I mean, a World Cup in Ireland would just be unbelievable for everybody. And, you know, hopefully we can get it done. The French aren't pushing hard, I think, you know, they have a track record, but I think the romantics want this, so maybe romance will work out.
Yeah, thanks so much for chatting to us, Eddie.
My pleasure.